Greetings and salutations, my artsy friends. Here we are. I hope everybody's ready to get painty. Let's see, I need to find you on the iPad. Let's see. Hey, Lauren Lovato, Demi Lovato. Jeff and I just saw her on that Eurovision movie, and I sure thought about you. Lovato, as in Demi Lovato. Anywho, let's get painty. I just finished a huge assignment. I mean, I have ongoing assignments, but I hit a deadline that I had set for myself. And so I'm taking some time to just enjoy the paint, the power of paint. Hi, Jamie. Hi, Barbara. How are you? Good, I hope. Okay, so remember we had talked the other day about... we had painted some of our poinsettias, and we had done printed on regular cardstock, and to play with that idea, and to Jennifer, where are you? Where are you that you're saying good morning? Oh, that's funny. Anyway, we had painted some of our Carmen art printables, and we had, hi Allison, I just turned in Alabama, by the way. Anyway, we had painted some of the Carmen art printables, right? And we had printed them on regular cardstock. And we had done a washi, holy tamale, what time is it there? Oh, Jennifer, I feel terrible that it's, what time is it in Australia? Oh my gosh. You can always watch me on the replay, but I'm so honored that you are watching. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I love that you bought one of my art printables. Every time I'm telling you, every time someone buys one, I'm just tickled pink. And then when they make something out of it, I'm even more tickled pink. So today, I thought, since we had already painted some of our flowers, remember we did a wash of watercolor, and then we enhanced with colored pencils. And I have all of those things out. Can nobody hear me? Bev, you might need to turn your volume up on your computer, because I think everyone else can hear me, because Lauren heard me making a joke about her last name. Could somebody type in there to Bev that she needs to turn up the volume on her computer? Yay, never mind. She has sound. So we painted a washi background, and then we kind of did our layers of color with our watercolors, right? And we did our Pouncy blend, and then we did our enhancement with our colored pencils, right? Then, so then I said that today we would play around with some artsy backgrounds, because that's, we can certainly leave it plain if you'd like, or you can paint it solid if you'd like. But I had a couple of ideas. Lauren created a stripy background that was so beautiful. So I asked her if I could do her technique on the background on this video, and she said yes. So we're gonna do that, And then we're gonna do this where we take a little bit of color and just work it out in a soft way. And then I'm gonna show you how I do like splatters and that kind of thing. So let's take, I'm gonna take these two poinsettias and I'm gonna start painting a background. Let's see, make sure that everybody can see what I'm doing. I'll put my paints here. Okay, so I already have a little bit of, I'm taking a small brush. So remember, just like little by little, keep growing your round brush arsenal. And remember, they do not need to cost any more than $5. Although I think these connoisseurs are a little bit more than $5, not much, but they have a good snap. Remember we talked about that you want your bristles to have a good snap. If they don't, if they're more, let me see, what do I have up here? So this one I was using the other day. It still has a decent snap, but do you see how much bigger the bristles are in this? Because this is a 8, this is a 1. The difference is that this is going to hold so much more water and so much more paint, right? More pigment. But if it's looser, you're going to be able to do a really loose wash. So if you're thinking that you want to do some loose wash, when you go looking for brushes, find one that doesn't have, do you see how it snaps back right away? If it's more sort of fluffy, then I don't know how else to, like the bristles aren't as tight, then it's going to give you a washy, you're going to be able to do a washy background, and it's going to hold more paint and water. I don't particularly like those. I find that I can do both of those things with a brush with a nice snap. So let's go. Let's see. So I'm going to start the stripes. So what did I have? The connoisseur 1. So I am wetting my brush and I have some, can you see that? I have some orange and yellow that I had mixed up for something else. You know how I do. And I'm just going to add some yellow to that and then wet my brush again and add just a little bit of orange. Remember, with lots of watercolors, it takes a minute for them to kind of wake up. So I purchased a lot of paints from Hydrocolor and Artistic Isle, and a couple of other places too. So Artistic Isle included this in one of the, I bought a whole thing of paints one time, I don't know, a whole set. And so this bottle is so cool, right? Do you see it just has a skinny end, and so I can just add a drop of water in the colors, and so while I'm painting one thing, that water is starting to activate those other colors, and so when I come in with my brush, it's gonna be ready to go. You know what I mean? Okay, so because I want this to be not precise, but I want it to look like a straight line stripe, I'm going to rinse off my brush, dry it on my paint cloth. I hope you can kind of see that. And then I'm going to come back in and get some pigment on my brush, And then I'm going to start over here. And then I'm just going to continue across. And what I like to do is I like to try to get as far across as I can, and then if there's a place that it seems a little bit light, you can just tap some water in there, some watercolor in there, and because you've already created a line, the pigment is just going to follow that water. Do you see what I'm saying? The water will just, ta-da! So now we're just going to continue to paint our stripes. I just thought this yellow was so pretty with the red flowers. I just thought that was so pretty, and the green leaves. So is everybody painting along today? I hope. So once I'm done painting all of my backgrounds, I also wanted to show you a couple of other finishing things that I like to do. And I'd like to talk to you about, I like to die cut the image. Well, there's two schools of thought on this. So you can die cut the image before you start painting. I kind of dig that. Tessa does not. I will just tell you. I kind of dig it because I like when you die cut the, with a slimline die, if you die cut with, I think I have Trinity, the stitched edge, I like that, just that one little extra oomph, right? That stitched edge. But I kind of like doing it before I paint sometimes, because then it kind of looks quilty, because a little bit of paint will puddle in the holes, and that's the opposite of what Miss Tessa likes. But you could also do it once you're all done painting. So that's what I'm going to do today. And you don't cut first either. Well. Whatever. Oh, it's a good thing I already love you both. That's for sure. And I was not a die cutter. But then I started hanging around with Lucinda, and she die cuts like nobody's business, and she's an expert at it, and she talked to me about how it was going to really add dimension to my cards, and I was like, yeah, whatever. And then I started to see the light, and now I'm a die cutting fool. I just love it. So do you see how I'm just continuing the line, and I just want it to be really painterly. I do not want it to be exact in any way. I don't want anybody to get a ruler out or anything. You're just gonna paint some painterly stripes, because we don't want it to take away from our poinsettias. That's the star of the show, right? The stripes are like the supporting actors. So we just want to support those poinsettias. So I will try and finish up these cards and post them on Instagram. I am using just regular cardstock today, Jennifer. Can you believe it? So over here, I don't know how the COVID thing is for you guys, but over here, we're having a hard time. Not everyone is able to go to print shops to print. Not everyone has printers that can handle watercolor paper. And so I was trying to think of a way to, make it more accessible for everyone. I want everyone to make cards with Corbiere-Scott art printables, right? So I was talking to my mentor, Miss Lindsay Ostrom, and you should all follow her because she's just about the most brilliant girl in the world. Anyway, she said she does her printables just on cardstock. And I said, well, I'll need to try that out. So I did it on Tuesday. You can watch that video on the Corbiere-Scott Facebook group, or Facebook page. And then, and now I'm doing some backgrounds. So I will say that it's going to cause a little wrinkly, but remember that all paper is fibrous, right? So you can do a couple tricks to kind of get it back in shape, right? So I know my camera's kind of close today, but if you just roll it back and forth, right? That's going to start to break those fibers, and then roll it back and forth this way. Is that like a roller coaster? Sorry about that. Anyway, and then you can just, on the back, whoops, sorry about that. On the back side, I like to just roll my fingers along, and that's really gonna help break the fibers, right? And you can just, do it old school and stick it under a book and then cut it out later. You know what I mean? So those are my tricks. I have been known to put it face down on a paper towel and then iron the back side of it so it's really flat with the same iron that my husband irons his dress shirts with. But you know what? It's the COVID. He hasn't been traveling, so it's fine. So are you still on lockdown, Jennifer? We're kind of all over the place in the United States. Some states are more stringent than others, but we're all making it work wherever we are. So I'm almost done with this one. So now I just want to, if you looked really close, you would see that nothing is consistent in size, but I just really think that the yellow really pops the orange or the red, right? And I think that the stripes repeat the pattern of the text within the poinsettias, right? And remember, that's another rule of design, is to repeat. So now we're gonna let that dry. So for this one, I'm thinking that, so this one I did kind of a yellowy poinsettia. I'm sure you've all seen them. They're supposed to be white, I think, but they kind of look yellowish, kind of, what do I want to say? Yellowish, kind of cream white. So down here, I darkened with like kind of a creamy brown, like a milky brown, and that I really like the way that kind of popped. And then I wanted to pop the background opposite on the color wheel of yellow is purple. So I just picked like a super light purple, and I just watered my purple down like nobody's business. And then I just came in and created kind of a soft background. So that's what I'm going to try and duplicate here. So we can talk about that. You can tell me if you think that's great, if you think it's crap. I don't care. So, because we have red is the base of this, so it's pink, right? So green is opposite on the color wheel, right? So we already have a green leaf right here, which I really want to deepen the shades of these. I like that it's pink, but I really want to deepen the tones there. So, but for this purpose, I want to create a background. So I'm going to do gray. So you can kind of see my process doing that. So I'm just taking some gray, and remember I put those little dots of water on there, so it's kind of already, it's just waiting for me. It's all ready to go. So here's my gray. I think you can see that, right? And I'm just keep adding water to it because I want it nice and watery. Not overly watery, not like we were painting on watercolor paper. That's the biggest difference that I figured out as we're doing on just on regular cardstock, is that we you just have to make those adjustments, right? So this is what I do. I come in and make excuse me, a little bit of like an outline, right? And now I'm gonna wet my brush and I'm just gonna work that out, right? With more water. Because on watercolor paper, we could let it sit and then work it out. But on cardstock, we don't have the luxury of time. So remember we talked about just work with what you have. You can make whatever you have work. And sometimes, like, some of the coolest happy accidents happen, right? So I'm gonna wet my brush and come in with some of this watery gray, add a little bit more water to it, and then I'm just gonna go back over that line, right? And I'm sticking with this skinny brush because I don't want my background to go all the way to the edge throughout the entire card. I want it to just kind of feather out, you know what I mean? So I find if I use a little brush, then I can't be heavy-handed, or I'm less likely to be heavy-handed with my paint, right? So, and the other cool thing about this is that we can still enhance with our colored pencils, right? So now you see I'm using a much watery application of this gray hue, but I think it's so pretty, right? And then I'm just doing that jiggy-jaggy kind of blend it out. Because remember, we just want it to have like kind of like it's almost like a little bit of a shadow, right? Oh, one thing I wanted to tell you that I thought was kind of cool. So I painted, can you see that? I painted Feliz Navidad because that's the one I'm going to put up here. I just painted that with the same color background that I did up here on the poinsettia, because I'm going to post that right here. And I think that'll just pop when it's down here. But you know, sometimes I think I'm going to put it down here, then I'm like, no, maybe I'll put it up here, maybe I'll put it down here, you know. But that's my plan right now in my head. If anybody has a better idea, please let me know. Okay, I gotta take a drink because I'm doing all the blabbing, girls. Okay, let's see. Great. So I'm coming in here and then I'm working it out. Coming in here and work it out. I will cut it out. And so I usually, Judy, I will say that I usually just cut out like a strip, like a sentence strip sort of looking sentiment. I just really like that. I feel like it, remember we talked about that the flowers or whatever the artwork is the star of the show, and the background is the supporting actor. And I feel like the sentiment is like the best supporting actor, right? So, or actress. So we want it to just enhance what we're doing. And so I just really love that sentence strip because I feel like I do totally cut it by hand. Unless it's, yeah, no, I usually cut it by hand. But if you're not comfortable, you can totally cut it on your paper trimmer. Or if you found a die that fit it, you could totally do that too. So now I'm going to come back in with a little more of the gray, kind of work that out, create like a deeper shadow. There we go. Isn't that pretty? I just love that. It just totally, am I still on camera? Sorry. It totally, I just feel like it really pops it out. Oh, no, I know what I was going to say about the sentiments. You could, if you found a die that fit it, you could totally do that. And that might be kind of cool because if you find a die that fits it, it might have like a stitched edge, and that's cool, right? And maybe that's something I need to consider as I'm drawing them and hand lettering them, that I need to letter them to fit a certain die, you know? So remember we talked about enhancing the, oh, I just saw a bunch of hearts. Does that mean you want me to draw them to fit a certain die? Does anyone have a certain die in mind that they would like? Or were those hearts for something else? I don't know. I think there might be a little bit of a delay. Maybe you just like the gray. I don't know. You tell me. So I'm just going to continue to deepen it right up next to the flower and the petals. And then work it out a little bit more. And remember, it's going to look different. I know there's not usually enough room, Judy, because you know what? I feel like I got to use up all my real estate. You know what I mean? Okay, I'll try. I'll just have to like maybe make my sentiments a little bit smaller, and that might help. So, oh, another thing I wanted to talk about today was that when remember we've talked a lot about watercolors and what's a good set and blah, blah, blah. And I've told you repeatedly, just get to know whatever you have. If you can get your hands on a set of really nice watercolors, absolutely, by all means, please do. But if you just have a Crayola set or I'm trying to think what that one from Michael's or Joann's is. No, I don't remember. But anyway, if that's all you have, you're going to learn its capabilities, right? You're going to learn what it can do and what it can't do, how far you can push it, right? Hi, Diana. How are those beautiful daughters of yours today? So really think about, and the way to learn what they are is absolutely, Jennifer, totally jiggy jaggy. So totally, the way that you learn and get to know your products is practice. Just practice, practice, practice. And that's the beauty of art printable, right? Because you can print it as many times as you want. You can print it on watercolor paper, print it on cardstock, print it on hammer mail, print it on whatever you have. I don't care if you print it on, I don't know, copy paper. Just get to know it. Get to know your whatever tools you have at your disposal, right? So, but one thing I will say, oh, I can't believe this second one is crawling and Maddie's all grown up. Ugh, it's just going entirely too fast, Diana. Those kids, I'm telling you. Oh, I know what I was going to say. When you look at watercolors, know that your watercolors, the color that they are in the pan is not necessarily the color that they are on cardstock or watercolor paper or hammer, whatever you use, right? So I happen to have, so you'll see this, do you see how much darker this gray is here? Can everybody see that? Right? And then we watered it down so it's certainly lighter, but here it is on cardstock, right? So now I'm going to show it to you on watercolor. Do you see? It's just ever so slightly different. So just know that that's another thing that you kind of need to just get to know is how, so here's pretty full strength, wateriest. If that helps everybody. Just know that they're going to be different colors on different substrates, right? On watercolor paper, on cardstock, blah, blah, blah. They're going to be different colors when they dry. They're going to be different colors than what they are in the pan. I mean, not crazy. It's not going to be like, now it's green. It's not like that. But just know that you're going to have to kind of fiddle with it a little bit. So I don't really like that this is so apparent. It feels really apparent to me, the edge. So I'm gonna just come in and just try and wash it out with just water. Let's see what happens, right? I just want to loosen up the edge. Well, I love that, Judy. I love that you're here. You're at least listening to us. It's kind of like girlfriend time, isn't it? At least that's how I look toward it. I feel like, because I can't hang out with my girlfriends, I can hang out with you here and we can all talk about art and, you know, what's going on in the world and, you know, all that jazz. Okay, so there is, so we're gonna let that dry. And I wanted to show you a little trick with this. So I'm going to kind of cover up 100% girlfriend time. You're right, Keels. So I'm going to try and cover up the slimline. And then I'm going to kind of cover, not completely, but kind of cover most of the poinsettia. Then I'm going to come in and I'm going to take some of that black that's been percolating, right? Because we put that beautiful water on top. Then I'm going to take my paintbrush. I'm going to, so did you see what I did? I came in and I made like a slurry down here of black watercolor that I made pretty watery. And then I'm just going to tap it out. And the card is going to kind of protect it, right? So now I'm going to come down here and kind of do the same thing. I'm getting kind of, if you can get kind of, you can speckle the whole thing. Let's do that, right? Because that's kind of cool. Right, so that's that idea. And do you see how just that totally, I feel like that just bumps it up a notch. But does everybody see this horrible thing that I did right here? So I have some paper towel. Let's see if we can fix it. So I'm just gonna tear off a little piece of paper towel. I'm just gonna, nope. Because we're on cardstock. So we might just put a little doodad on top of that. I don't know. But some of the other cards that I've seen that I really, really like, they have been really, really enhancing their backgrounds. And so one thing I noticed is that they do a lot of, they do lots of dots. So I have just taken some of the purple and put it up here on my palette. And I'm just gonna try and get a little bit on the end of this stylus thing. I'm gonna see if, shut it. Look how cool that looks, right? So I'm just gonna start with a little bit. I'm just gonna, like I said, just start with a little bit. And then we can certainly grow it. We can come back and add more. But do you see how that, just that, is totally adding some more dimension, right? I'm not really into making mass-produced cards. I kind of like making artsy cards because I'm a pretty artsy girl, as are all of you. So I'm really digging that, right? What do you all think? I think it just totally enhances it. I don't know that I would do it on the yellow because there's already kind of a lot going on there. But this just kind of adds to the black splatter, right? I'm just going to, but this is kind of a darkish purple, so that's kind of cool. And by doing this, I think that, and I want it to be like dark dots and light dots and faded out dots and big dots and little dots, and do you know what I mean? I just want it to be really organic and no set pattern, right? So we can do that, wash off the end of that, and then we can certainly come in with our Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed proof white, and we can come in with the same tool, right? And we can do some dots of that. There we go. So I'm going to dry that off super good. And then come back. Stop it. Oh, I'm loving this. Lauren, are you loving this? I'm loving it. Hey, Kath, how are you? I miss you too. Hey, have you seen that I have my stitchery, my 50 States stitchery patterns are out now? Not all of them, but I'm getting there. Check them out. They're on here on my page. I'm going right into the bottle and get some full strength. I'm thinking I want to do some, shut it, look at that. It just adds so much visual interest, I think, to just, and like I said, I'm just randomly making dots, right? There's no rhyme or reason. And if you know me, you know there's not a lot of rhyme or reason to me. I know, Lauren, but you know, I like to have, like, it's kind of nice to have a conversation with you. Goodness. It feels like, you know, we used to have these artsy days at my house where Lauren and Tessa and I would just create the day away, and now, ugh, we haven't had those in months, and we're all missing it tremendously, right? So now, before I go too insane with the dot, I want to make sure that, remember the other day we talked about putting some dots, some some white dots in the stamen to just kind of create even more depth, right? So I think I'm gonna leave that like that. I did this, I took some creative license and I painted this poinsettia down here that kind of looks sort of like a tiger lily because it's so orange, but I was kind of digging that, right? And I don't know, maybe there is like a strain of poinsettias that are kind of orange. I don't know, maybe there is. So now let's go back to, so we're gonna set this aside because I don't know exactly how I want to finish that off. I don't know. So let's come back to this, and I'm feeling like we could do some pencil work, and that's going to kind of be a repeat of what we did on Tuesday. So I'm just going to come in, and remember we talked about, like, follow the lines, right? Follow the natural organic lines, and when two petals are on top of another petal, it's going to be darker under there, right? So we can deepen the colors of the underneath petals just with some pencil. And Jennifer, I'm doing jiggy jaggy again, right? So I'm just jiggy jaggy with my colored pencil. I'm trying to make sure that I'm on camera, that I'm not way away, right? So do that, and then down here, and let's do the base because we want lots of depth, right? And then I'm feeling like, shut up, look how cool that looks, just that little bit. So let's do just the side of our pencil along the along the vein and the petals. That's going to create some visual interest too. And remember that a rounded end of a colored pencil is blending bliss. A sharp one is for like precise lines. So for the most part, you'll notice most of my colored pencils are round because I just like to blend. So, right? So let's do that. And then I'm feeling like we need to deepen the center of the okay, so I have this process red, which is quite a bit deeper, but I'm feeling like if I just do that jiggy right here at the base, that's gonna really add to some dimension too, right? But do you notice I'm not putting like, I'm not heavy-handed. My pencil is barely touching my paper. And I'm just jiggy, because then you don't have like a big line, right? We don't want that. But do you see how I've already drawn some, I've stippled these quite a bit. So you know that that's already a shady part, right? So we can do some jiggy there too. Jiggy here, jiggy here, a little bit here, a little bit here. But I'm barely touching it, right? I don't want it to be super stark, right? But remember the other day, so if you do that and you feel like, ooh, that's a little too much, come back in with the lighter color that you use, which is, ironically, this one's called hot pink, whatever. I don't think it's hot pink at all. I think it's kind of a creamy pink. But anyway, because this is blendy, you're just going to come in with my circly, blendy, right? And that's going to soften that. There we go. Stop it. Look how pretty that is. You know what? I want to get kind of brave, and I'm feeling like I want to kind of add a little bit of this processed red right down the center because it's already black. So why wouldn't that just enhance it? Right? Come on. Look how pretty that is. And do you see I'm barely touching the paper, and I'm just back and forth along the line that's already there. So then you're just kind of enhancing the line that's already there. Jiggy. Then let's do this, and look at this beautiful curve. Right? So we just want to go over that with our processed red and then come back in with our hot pink, and we're just going to blend that out. We're just doing that circle blend. Right? And then we're going to keep this nice and white on this side, really light and white, because that's going to make this appear to kind of curve over, kind of curl over. You know what I'm saying? I hope that helps. So I'm feeling like this gray is kind of a warm gray, and so I'm feeling like, oh, we could do our leaves, right? So what do we have? That lime peel, you know, I'm just digging that lime peel. And moss green, no. What's the one I used the other day? I think I used olive green. Kelp green, good gravy. I have all the greens. Olive green. Okay. So I'm feeling like, let's do that same, you know what? No. These colors would work well on these petals, these leaves, right? Because this green is kind of, I remembered that I wanted this to be a little bit like kind of a bluey green. So we could do lime peel, jiggy jiggy, right? Like we did here. We're gonna go back, forth, but not all the way to the edge. We're gonna just leave ourselves a little white highlight. And that will make a lot of difference. Then we'll come in with the olive green and just do barely on there, right? And then the vein and the underside of that leaf right there. We're gonna come in. Hi, Denise. And then here, remember we talked about like there's already stippling there, so you know that that's already a place to kind of enhance with some shading, some deeper shades, right? And then we're gonna do the one side of the vein, right? And then we can, like I said, we can soften that with that circular blend with the lighter color that we had put down. And that just takes away the harsh edge. And that's so effective, you know? And then we talked the other day also about doing some mark making. So you see here, we did some mark making there, so we could do the same thing here. So to do that, we want to have a sharp pencil. So we're going to sharpen. Right? And then because I darkened on this side, this is the side that I'm going to do the mark making on. And if it starts to feel a little, hey Lynn, if it starts to feel like it's getting soft and round, just turn it in your hand and you'll find a sharp spot, right? So this one, let's do it this way. They don't need, they just barely. Start at the darkest spot, right? So start here, because this is a dark spot, and flick out. But I mean, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be in the same direction. It doesn't have to be a certain length, and it doesn't have to be much, because a little kind of goes a long way, I think. And then we could do the same thing with, I think we're almost done. Are we almost out of time? I think so. We can sharpen the lime peel and come in and do the same flicky motion, right? And then that's just gonna really add some cool texture. And I just think that's like super cool, super cool. So we could do the same thing here on the pink petals of that poinsettia. We can do that same technique of mark making with our darker shade with the what is it, processed red, and then soften with our hot pink, right? So like here, because we it's kind of appearing and I wouldn't go all the way to the end. You want it to just be kind of subtle, right? But just that makes it look like this. The petal at the vein goes like this, and that's kind of where we want to be. We want to be creating a little bit of dimension and all of that all of those little bits all play together well and create a nice artsy card, right? So, that being said, I think I am gonna go and just continue listening to my audiobook. So I'm still listening to The Henna Artist. It's so good. And I might crack open one of my stitchery kits, my Michigan or Arizona. I'm thinking about doing some lives with that. Tell me what you think. Are any of you stitchers? Let me know your thoughts on that. Why wouldn't we have a multi-dimensional friendship? Do you know what I mean? All right. Stop it. I'm just loving that. Okay, girls. We are right. Oops, sorry about that. We are right about an hour. So I'm going to sign off. I adore you all. Thank you, Jennifer, for visiting all the way from the other side of the world. I hope you'll keep coming back. So I'm here on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2 o'clock Arizona time. And I'm on Saturdays, that's when we do some art journaling at noon Arizona time, which I know would be super early for you, but we have the best time. We kind of study some lots of different famous artists, get inspired by them, and then we create from our inspiration. And it's fabulous fun. It is fabulous, fabulous fun. I adore you all. I hope everyone has a great, tremendous Thursday, and I'll see you on Saturday. Thanks so much for all of your support. It means the world to me. Bye.